back for another review of Sistas on BET. So let's just jump right into it. We're on season 4, episode 18, entitled Enemy of Mine. Alright, so we are at the jailhouse coming off of the DA telling Zach that he's looking at potentially 10 years because he was on probation because of that baby that he says isn't his, that the girl put him on child support for. Right? So they're at the jail, and Zach is just like, how is that possible? How does that make sense? That's not my baby. I've never seen this baby before. I don't know what's going on. And so he tells the team, like, listen, this is really not my baby. And he's really, like, losing his shit because he's like, listen, every time I get it together, everything falls apart, and I'm tired. And Fatim's like, listen, have I let you down thus far? And he's like, no. And she's like, have I let you down thus far? He's like, no, but that's part of the problem. And he's like, listen, I'm tired of women having to come in and bail me out, do things for me. I'm just tired of it. I figured now that I have money, I could do things for myself. I should be able to help myself, which I guess you learned in this moment that there's just some shit that money cannot buy. There's things that money can't buy, but there is a greater deal of things that money cannot buy. Your countenance, how you treat people, and who you know weigh a lot more than how much money you have. So I guess he's learning that in this instance, but he realizes like his life has been a culmination of women bailing him out, and he just wanted to do things his way this time. However, sir, in this particular instance, this is not the time to be independent. Go ahead and get this help and figure out the rest of the shit later. All right, so she's like, let's just see what Andy can do, and if she can't, I'm gonna break you out of here, and we're just gonna go on the run. And he looking like, girl, stop playing. And she's like, I'm not playing. I'm dead ass. Like, I told you I was crazy. I'm breaking you out. We going on the lam. And so we just now hopefully Andy can do something because Child Fatima's ready to risk it all for Zach, honey. All right. Andy calls Robin to see what he's come up with, and she calls Robin trying to beat around the bush, and he senses like something's off. What's the problem? What's up? And he tells her what the DA said about Zach, and he tells her, like, they can't do that. He was never served. His PO never told him about a court date. None of that. So they can't legally put him back on probation. And he's asking her, like, hey, do you trust him? Because I guess he decided if Zach is worth his neck being put on the line because he's about to call in yet another favor for these folks. Do you trust him? And he's like, yeah. Are you willing to stick your neck out for him? Sure. Next question, are you sleeping with him? Hell no, it's Zach. Like, Zach is really kind of everybody's annoying baby brother at this point, like by way of him having been in relationship with Karen. No, he used to date my friend. And he's like, okay, well, it's a lot of trouble for you to be going through for somebody, for this guy. And he's like, listen, she's like, I believe in him. That's my homie. I believe he deserves a shot in life. Like, he's just trying to get his shit together. And Robin is like, okay, well, I went to school with D.A. Jefferson's daughter, so I'll call her. And he's like, well, since we had some questions, did you sleep with her daughter? And he was like, no, why would you ask me that? She was like, oh no, I just want to make you as uncomfortable as you made me asking me about Zach as I'm going to make you about his daughter. And so they're just doing the little tit for tat scene, and he's going to make some calls and he's going to get back with her. All right, so Q has made Maurice breakfast, and he's handing out compliments, and Maurice is like, listen, cut the shit. I don't want to hear it. Just hurry, find someplace to go, blah, blah, like very short, very not interested. And he claims that he's going to look for a job today. Do you have any ideas? And Maurice is like, yeah, go to the bank and apply and see if they will allow you in there, since that'd be great since you robbed them, right? Basically just being short with him. He don't really care. And he claims that he's tired of hustling. He wants to find a good job. And in that moment, Calvin comes stumbling his hungover ass out of his room. And of course, Maurice not going to let him live. Maurice reminds him, like, listen, do you remember you and Q being in my bed last night? And Calvin's like, come on, Maurice. Like, why are you lying? Like, don't do that. What are you talking about? And Calvin doesn't believe nothing he's saying. And Maurice shows him the video, which I'm assuming is from his home security system. Shows him the video from last night. And he's like, why you ain't got no clothes on? And Q was like, listen, I was on the couch sleep, man, in my business. You came and messing with me. I saw you puking. See all that puke everywhere in the room? That was you. I didn't want you to drown in your vomit. So I looked out for your boy. So we're good. All right. And so Maurice also takes his time to take advantage of Q not having a job and has him waiting on him hand and foot because you ain't paying no bills. What else is your contribution? All right. We'll go with it. All right, Aaron Aaron shows up at the shop, and Karen is just, for once, she is happy to see Aaron. It's gonna be short lived, but for once, she's happy to see him. He's there to return some keys that he grabbed by accident last night. He thought they were hers, and she was like, "Those are my keys. I got my keys." And come to find out, they were Zach's keys. And it appears that Zach hadn't been there recently. He dropped the keys. I guess when he was there last time, he dropped the keys and he never came back to get them, which means he don't even need them no more because they're probably the keys to Karen's house and, things of that nature. And he's like, "Can I see you tonight?" She's like, "Yeah, I like that. I definitely like that." But you could tell that her countenance has changed and she's kind of awkward because he realized that those are Zach's keys and he could make the assumption like, okay, Zach is still coming over, which Aaron is a little more logical than that, so he didn't even make that assumption anyway. All right. But she did hand the keys to Pam after Aaron leaves and says, "Tell him to come get them." And Pam was like, "Hell, if the keys been at your house that long, he don't, one or two things, he don't want them or he don't need them. So what's really the point of trying to get the keys back to him?" Reasonable assumption, Pam. And she was like, Pam's like, "Well, don't worry about it. I'll just mail it to him since you insist on him getting it back." And she was like, "No, I want him to stop by and come get him." Interesting. So do you want to see, you going to do anything you can to see Zach, even though you know his situation. Anyway, and Pam was like, he's still in jail. Or Karen was like, somebody said he's still in jail. And Pam already knew this, but she was playing dumb, like she ain't knew the answer. And so Karen calls her on that, like, "Stop playing stupid when you already know exactly where this man is." And then she's like, "Just do your little Pam nosiness and find out when he gets out of jail and you let me know." All right. So the prince, forgot his name, he shows up at the bank with flowers for Sabrina, and she is upset, and she asks him like, "Well, why didn't you tell me you were a prince?" And he's like, "How do you know that?" She tells him about meeting the girls from his country in the grocery store. He was like, "Yes, I'm a prince. Yes, I admit that I'm a prince, but it's really not that big of a deal here. It means a great deal in my country, but it doesn't mean a whole lot here because nobody really knows me." And she just wishes that she would have known. And he's like, it's a very small country. Don't worry about it. You won't be harassed, even though she's already been low-key harassed in the grocery store. You won't be harassed because nobody knows me. It's not a big deal here in this country. I'm not that well known. And then she reads the card that he brought with the flowers and then asks her for dinner again, and he'll send a driver. And it comes, it's the proper way to treat a princess, which I guess like a yellow flag, not so much red, because you're assuming she's a princess. I know from not experience, I know from other people's experiences that people from other cultures, like princes and those of the sorts, take on multiple wives, or things that we consider menial actions like a gift or dinner is considered a proposal or a marriage in other countries. So while you calling her princess and she's not officially a princess, as y'all are not married, it's some assumptions that can be made in there, but we'll hold off and see what happens. So of course Marcus is being nosy and he's just upset because he just can't believe that an African won't bring him flowers. An African prince won't bring him flowers. He don't know what Sabrina got going on, but he's jealous, very much jealous. And he's like, "Oh, I see you moving on. I like the way you're moving. You don't want to hear about how Calvin doing?" And she's like, "Nope." So let's just keep our fingers crossed that the Calvin Sabrina fiasco is a wash. I doubt that it is because it's a Tyler Perry production, and the drama goes on and on and on sometimes. But we're gonna keep hope alive. All right. At the airport, the undercover agent dude is talking to Danny. He's all dressed up and she hands out compliments. And he's there to confirm their dinner for 7 o'clock tonight. And he gun shy because she done stood him up before. He's like, "Listen, we're going to dinner, but please don't stand me up again. Let's just do dinner. Let's just have a nice night. Blase, blase, blah." All right. Jake shows up at Zach's, and the contractor's there waiting because Zach hasn't paid him yet, and he's there to get his money. He wants his $3,500. He don't care about where Zach is as long as he gets his money. Somebody give me my money. So Jake pays him the money. You give me the invoice, I'll give you the money, and then I just get my money back from Zach. Now, I don't know if Jake trusts Zach that much, or if he's well aware that Zach has come into a bunch of money, so he's like, "Oh, he got it. I'll get my money back on the back end." I don't know, but I don't feel like y'all have known each other long enough for you to trust him that well, but we'll go with it. Again, it's a Tyler Perry production, so we can, things that may not be logical in the real world happens here. All right. So Jay calls Andy and asks to speak to Fatima. She's like, "Well, why are you looking for Fatima? She's not here." Well, I'm looking for Fatima because I'm looking for Zach. Well, why are you looking for Zach? Because I'm helping him with his portfolio. You know, I'm working in the acquisitions division, alongside Gary, and I'm doing him a favor. Oh, okay. Well, how long have you known him to know that it's out of his character to not show up? Oh, not that long. You know, Gary introduced us. We all play basketball together. You know, again, Gary asked me to do him this favor. And he was like, well, I'll give you, and Andy's like, listen, Andy's putting two and two together like, oh, one of Gary's friends is doing favors for Zach. Real sketchy. I'm not gonna give you her number, but I'll give her yours and she'll get back to you. So Andy's starting to put things together, and then Preston rolls up. He is also looking for Zach. And reluctantly he has to call Danny because she's the only source that may potentially know where Zach is, other than Andy and Fatima, and nobody can get in contact with them two. Well, with Fatima, and Andy is stalling on the information. So let's try Danny. All right, so Preston calls Danny and he's like, listen, do you know where Zach is? And she tells him, like, yeah, he's in jail. Like, what do you mean? Because of what do you mean he's in jail? Oh, he's in jail because he had a fight with Hayden. He's still in, that's probably where he is, where he's supposed to be. That's what Danny says. Blah, blah, blah. So he gives that information to Jake, and Jake is like, in jail? So now Jake is, I'm assuming Jake is going to go try to help him, because I think Jake also knows Hayden. And he's like, all right, cool. You know, Preston gives him his business card. If you come into any information, just let me know. Blah, blah, blah. Scurries off. All right. So Robin he goes into Andy's office because he's about to head out for today. Tells her, you know, he'll call her later. And he also reminds her almost as an afterthought, like, hey, Zach should be getting out in a little bit, so, you know, y'all should go take care of that. And he's like, all right, you sure he's still good? Like, he's not gonna run, right? She's like, no, he's not gonna run. We're good. He's gonna be out, you know, but the assault charges are still potentially on the table. And then she calls Fatima and gives her the good news. And she's like, well, where are you at? She's like, I'm home. And she's like, okay, well, Zach is gonna be out in a minute. She's like, okay, how long is it gonna take you to get there? She said 2 seconds. Because this girl is sitting outside of these people's jail waiting on something to shake for Zach. And that's what you call dedication. Now, dedication indeed, but I don't think you've known each other long enough for that type of loyalty and dedication, but get it how you live. So she was sitting outside anyway, so it wasn't gonna take long for her to get there. So she waiting for them to let her man loose. Robin comes back in and tells her that, hey, I forgot to tell you, but I realized that Hayden has gotten access to a federal database and has been looking at airport footage for hours. I don't know what he's doing, but I'm watching him and I'm auditing him, so I hope it's something illegal. That way I can get rid of his ass. And she's like, well, what is he doing? So now they're trying to figure out what the hell is Hayden doing, but we'll revisit that in another episode, I'm sure. All right. Gary is pacing back and forth. He is just coming apart at the seams. He just cannot believe. Aaron shows up at his office to try to talk him down because he done sent an SOS message like, I am off my rocker. He is unraveling. He just cannot accept the fact that Robin was in the house. I bought her that apartment. Tells Aaron that I bought her that apartment. Tells him about Robin. She ended up sleeping with him. How could she do that to me? And Aaron's like, how do you know that? He's stalling, but he eventually shows him like, hey, I had a telescope over there. Don't, whatever. All right, Aaron realizes that Gary is probably a little fucking nuts. Like, this man is really off his shit. And Aaron reminds Gary, like, hey, you bought that apartment for her so she could do what she wants. And also that, hey, you moved all of her stuff. So you basically forced her into this penthouse so she could do what you wanted her to do, but she's not doing what you want her to do. That's a risk you took. That's your fault, big dog. What you want her to do? And of course, Gary's not hearing none of that. How could she do that to me? You know, I want all my shit back. Like, how could she? I was just so stupid. Why would she have him in there? Like, just going off the rails. And Aaron is trying to keep him at bay. He was like, listen, I need to go talk to her. And Aaron's like, no, you don't. When you talk to her, you need to be calm, cool, and collected. So, not right now. Well, what are you going to do next? Well, I don't know what I'm going to do next. All right, so now he want to rush off and talk to her, and he leaves Aaron in his office. And at this point, Gary is dangerous. Gary don't have no control over his emotional faculties when it comes to Andy. Because let me remind you, was the last season or the season, one of these seasons, he was so upset at the fact he could not deal with the fact that she was done with him that he squeezed her damn near to death. First of all, you're strong, because it takes a lot to crack a human rib. because I think she had a bruised rib, a cracked rib, something rib. But for you to squeeze me with all your might, it's a little unnerving. And I don't know about forgiveness after that, but sure. All right. So Fatima and Andy are at the jail, and Fatima notices that Andy's blushing when she's talking about Robin, and she was like, "Listen, I know you like him, but I need you to be careful. I just want to remind you that Gary bought that place, so these gifts gonna come. This gonna come with a price to pay." Absolutely, Fatima. This is what I deduced from the conversation. But absolutely, I agree. All these gifts and little doodads and shit you getting and favors you calling in, it's gonna come with a price. I mean, you're a woman in America, but it's gonna come with a price. So just be careful. All right. She's like, yeah, I know, but this what this really is a true test to see if the apartment is really yours. Girl, the man bought you a Bentley or whatever car, and it was tracked. I'm sure your phone is probably tapped. He saw Robin in your apartment. Like little things he's already confirmed that he knows, and you know that he knows. How much more confirmation do you need? Do you need to get almost squozed to death? I know squeezed is the word, but do you need to get almost squozed to death to leave Gary alone? Do you need to die completely for it to make sense to you? I don't know, but we're gonna go with it. And Fatima, it's just another warning, girl, be careful. And so Fatima's now talking to Zach because he didn't show up at the back, and she's just still apologizing for her role in him ended up in jail. He's like, listen, you attacked Hayden for what he was doing to me, and I attacked him for what he was doing to you. And we did it off the strength of each other. It's fine. Whatever comes with it, it's a risk I'm willing to take. It's all right. Stop apologizing. It's just fine. And so now he's gonna whisk her off to the house to show her the surprise that he never had an opportunity to show her because he ended up in jail, which is just the remodeled condo, townhouse, whatever it is that he just bought. Hayden is in his office and he is looking up flight manifests and looking up the airport videos from where Danny and Zach used to work. Danny still currently works, and he's wondering what is she doing there? She being the senator's wife or whoever the senator's wife, and sees that she goes onto the plane, and he also sees Zach going to the plane, and he's like, well, what are they talking about? He can't hear what they're saying, and as worrisome as he was smart enough to put together like, oh, this is the senator's wife. The senator is somebody who has something to do with the stock tip, so she probably gave Zach the stock tip. So now, gotcha, nigga. Like, I got your insight, and I know how you got that stock tip. And now I'm finna take you down. Hayden, if you could put these powers to use for good, then you will probably have a woman that actually wants to be with you. Because you did all of that to bring down a man that is dating a woman that does not want to date you. One thing about a stalker, they're gonna go real far. They're gonna allocate all their resources just to peek at you. And it's giving very much that with Hayden. Anyway, so I'm sure that'll come about in the next episode. Hopefully it's enough to get his ass fired or in jail or something once Robin figures out what he did. On the next episode, Gary, like I said, he wants everything back. He wants money back. He wants his apartment back. He wants all his shit back from Andy. So that's going to be a whole nother can of worms. Like I said, all those damn gifts come with a price to pay. As is all those favors that you calling in to Robin. Just because y'all knocking each other off don't mean you off scot-free. But I'm going to let you have it. Jake and Zach are putting together some side deal, hopefully to take Gary down or to cut him out of whatever information he was trying to get Jake to come up with on Zach. All right. If you can't tell, I'm almost tired. I'm ready for the season to go on hiatus because it's dragging. It is dragging, and the filler episodes are taking a lot out of me, but I'm going to keep on doing the reviews. Let me know what you think about the episode. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.